Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Tiny Time Big Results. I'm Yasmin Boraji, and this is the podcast. And today I'm really excited because we are kicking off the series of interviews with guest experts, and we're focusing in on the one thing that makes the biggest difference in your business. Here at Tiny Time, we're always thinking about how you simplify your business and how you amplify what works. And so by asking my guests what one thing has made a big difference, I'm going to explore with them about how they use that in their business and how you can benefit from it as well too. So without further ado, we're going to go straight into our first interview. And this is with the lovely Emma Darcy. And Emma is a marketing mentor and trainer. And she's based here in Ireland as well, just like myself. So what I'm going to do is we're going to just kick it off. Like most of my podcasts, they're informal. We're going to just have a conversation. And I know you'll get some great little nuggets out of this as well. So Emma, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Yasmin. I'm delighted to be here and to be talking to your audience. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So tell me, Emma, I know I said you're a marketing mentor and trainer. Tell us what it is you do and who you do it for.
Great, thank you. It's the eternal question, actually. Even my parents still ask me this question, but which is kind of funny. But essentially what I do is I sit down with clients, and typically I find they've got fragmented marketing in. They're doing a bit of Twitter, they're doing a bit of Facebook. They figured out different components of marketing, but they haven't coordinated everything. That's typically where they kind of get to a stage where they're like, okay, I want to actually coordinate this. I want to systemize it. Who do I go to? And that's where somebody like myself is approached, and I sit down with them when I work with them. And so first of all, we map out, where they've been, what they've done, and also looking at their goals, what do they want to achieve? And also what I love to do, Yasmin, as well, is look at the person, who's the leader, what's their thing, what are they good at? For example, I have one client and she is absolutely amazing on Facebook Live. I have other people that are great on one-on-ones meeting people. Some people are very good at events. So through chatting to them, I get a sense of, yes, where they want to go with their business, but also how does that align with what they're really good at, and what people really gravitate towards them because either they're very good at chat, whatever it is that they're good at. So I marry those two together, map out a strategy with them, and then the training part really is where I literally work with them, showing them, for example, how to use Twitter, showing them how to create a sales page. So actually going through the practicality of doing it. And I'm sure you know this as well, accountability is huge, as in when people know they've got to meet me every second week, or, however long it is, they're like, oh my gosh, Emma, I have to tell you, I actually did this morning. But I suppose for the clients, it's good because sometimes we leave ourselves until last, and as business owners, and I suppose working with somebody helps you to focus. And therefore, after I tend to work with people between 3 and 6 months, sometimes a year. And the results tend to be better because it's over a more consistent time. And so that's, I suppose, how I work with people. And my big thing is about getting results for my clients. I love working behind the scenes and putting everyone else forward. And, that's exactly what I do.
And I suppose kind of going back to that point of what you were just saying about that, it could be 3 months, 6 months, it could be a year. I think that's the thing that we all need to remember, that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So especially when it comes to marketing, that, it's not just something that you do once and then you never touch again. It's going to be something that you do regularly. It'll evolve and it'll change, and you tweak it, and you're always refining and testing.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually what happens is, and we're all guilty of this, in particular in society today, there's this expectation that, you go and do Facebook ads or you go on Facebook Live. And I have had some people say, well, there was nobody on the Facebook Live. And, you kind of have to say, well, you never told people you're going to be on it. You haven't built up the following. So it does take time. And I suppose in general, we just have to learn to be more patient. But you do get better results if you stick with it. And of course, it's like everything really. If you want to learn how to play camogie, golf, anything, you've got to put the time in. And,
absolutely.
So
tell me, you have Tiny Time as well.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about what your Tiny Time looks like?
Oh gosh, and at the minute, because I have a little baby as well, like Yasmin. So I have an 11-month-old. She's going to be a year in 3 weeks, and I have an 8-year-old. So like all parents, I feel like I'm on the road all the time, particularly with the older girl, you know, all these different events she's going to. She's part of a triathlon at the moment, and I feel like I'm taking part in it. But the thing is, so for example, I get up at 5, half 5, at the latest 6 in the morning. I do about 2 hours before the kids start getting ready for school. Then I drop off for school, and from about 9:15 on till 2, I work. And then I like to have time with my children. So I collect my daughter at 2:30, sometimes 3:30 if she's got activities. And then it's really either going to activities, spending time with them. And really, I don't sit down to work again until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, where I often have clients at that point, or I'm doing, you know, other work and stuff. So sometimes I don't finish until 11:30. The odd time I'll have longer days, but typically that's kind of my average day. And of course, the challenge then is to get everything done, because you know, you're in the car, you're going here and there, and you've got to coordinate. And the biggest thing that I've learned is, and I'm still learning, is to say no. To say no to, like, so for example, this year I was on my older daughter, she had her communion, so I was on the communion committee. I'm on the parents committee. Somebody else asked me to be on some other committee, and I'm like, you can't actually fit it in. You know, it's not possible. So I suppose you've got to look at your priorities. And for me, my children are my priorities. So, and then obviously work. But so I have to focus. So for example, you could end up doing lots of stuff for lots of different people. And you've really got to focus and say, look, I'm really sorry, but right now I just can't do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then as well, which I found as well, is one of the things that really shows you whether you're focusing on your work is your revenue. So when you actually look, and actually the last couple of weeks I've been super busy. So I was looking just at my bank account, and I thought I was earning whatever it was. And then I went in and actually looked, and I realized, my goodness, like it was 60% of what I thought, because when you're just going in and having this quick look without actually diving into it. And of course, then that has repercussions in that I realized, okay, well, I've been saying yes to so many things that now I've got to reinforce that saying no and focus. So I suppose really it's focus for me anyway. And I think a lot of people I work with, you know, it's about learning to say no, and about just having focus, so that when you are working, that you know what you're doing, you know what, you know. So it's very much, it's like what your tagline, tiny time, big results. If you focus, you can actually maximize that time. But if you're not focused, that's where the challenges really are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, so many of us can relate to the whole idea of doing school runs, or, you know, and then, you know, trying to get some work done, and then going to pick them up again, and then doing homework and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, we literally are trying to squeeze the business into little pockets of time.
Yes.
That's the way I would like to describe it. And so I suppose, you know, you weren't always at this stage. You know, I think like every business owner, you know, we all want to know that everyone has had a journey to get to the level of clarity that you have now. Do you want to speak a little bit about that? I suppose, you know, kind of, I want to leaning towards what's made the biggest difference in your business, like the one thing that's made the biggest difference. But, you know, do you feel like your journey has been like a straight line, or has it all been, you know, around the houses and everything?
It's been higgledy-piggledy. You know, it's you know, I think that's the thing as well, because you're on your own and you're trying to figure it out. And I mean, I did everything backwards, probably pretty much, in that I went working after school, took that famous year out, and didn't go back to college until a mature student at 29, did a degree. I had my daughter in the last year, as you do. Then I did a master's. And that's really where I had been working a lot on contract work. So part-time I was working for myself, and then went in working for myself. And, you know, it is a journey for sure. And I think you can listen to too many people. You know, because you can go off this road, and oh my God, this is great. And it's like shiny object syndrome. I did a lot of online courses. So I was like the queen of online courses. Pretty much if you said you did an online course, I probably would have got it. So, you know, I had to stop. I had to ban myself from buying stuff. Because of course what you're doing there is, yes, you're educating yourself, but you're not focusing on the business. So sometimes, like, you do obviously need to be educated or trained in what you're doing, but at the same time you have to do it. So I think sometimes we can not look for excuses, but in the interest of your business, you're wanting to obviously upskill, but you can focus too much on that. So it's kind of finding that level playing field where, you know, you are working in your business, you're working on your business. And that's hard because, as I said, if you listen to too many people that just don't have the experience, it's not that they're trying to be mean or anything or send you on the wrong road, but it just mightn't be the road for you.
Yeah.
And I also find that you need to be getting advice from somebody that's a step or several steps ahead of you. So I've really realized, you know, do you ever find you realize something and then you kind of nearly forget it and then you re-realize it? So for example, even recently, you know, I've joined a mastermind in Europe, and it really is great because you're surrounding yourself with these people that, first of all, understand where you're at. Second of all, are very motivated. But equally, we all have days when we're not motivated. So even the most motivated person can have off days and whatnot. So I suppose what I'm saying is that support is invaluable.
Yeah.
And if the listeners can find a mastermind, and a mastermind really is just either paid or unpaid, but that you agree certain terms, in other words, to support each other through the journey. But equally that, you know, there's goals there. And what I'm finding is it's helping me to step up, but consistently.
Yeah.
Because we've got calls and, you know, say for example, you said you were going to do something last month and, you know, you kind of have to say, oh, well, I didn't do it, or I did do it. And, you know, so.
You don't want to really lose face, do you? Because you kind of go, that's the third month running. I didn't do anything. Never mind. You know, and they're all looking at you going,
So that's really valuable because the thing is, I don't know if you find this, Yasmin, because I suppose we're working in marketing, it's very easy for me to work on everybody else's marketing. Very easy. And I'm an introvert, so I actually typically don't like putting myself out there. So Facebook Lives, someone else do, you know, everyone else do whatever it is. And then it's not that I won't do them myself, but I just don't I wasn't giving myself the time to do that as well. So I think it's that providing space. It's kind of like you have to create this space for your own business, whatever it is, and recognize that, you know. So that's definitely one learning for sure.
I think I really like what you say about, you know, like learning from someone who's like, you know, a few steps ahead of you rather than a million steps, because I think that, you know, one of the things that I find is probably the most challenging, and I think that lures people to that shiny object, is where someone says, I did this and I got this amazing result. And what you don't see is everything that led up to that point. You know, or they say, you know, you don't have to sell premium packages. You can sell, you know, a €50 $1 ebook and you could make your millions. And I said, yeah, but that means that you have the volume to be able to do that. And so there's always the pieces that are left out of the headlines, you know, the attention grabbing headlines. And I think, and like you, and I did a lot of courses myself, and, you know, I bought into all of those, you know, the headlines. And then I think, you know, and I think this is normal. I think this is, I suppose it's as you mature as a business owner, as your business matures, as you realize then that actually it's not just this, you know, flick a switch and everything suddenly is hunky-dory, but it's about how you evolve and how you learn and how you grow that, you know, builds the business, you know, and, you know, really gets you to that point where you think, okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing now. You know, but I don't think anybody starts off knowing exactly what to do. You know, we're all there grappling away in the dark and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting because, like, even having done a business degree and worked for, you know, different organizations and a master's in marketing, the thing is, even there is no blueprint. There is no, like, for being an entrepreneur, there is no, well, if you go down the left road and turn right and, you know, go this, you know. And the thing is, like you say, people have headlines of, I got this result, but as you say, you really don't see behind the scenes of what got them there. And that can be frustrating if you have, you know, done a lot of courses or tried to work with different people, because it's very difficult to replicate exactly that success because there's so many variables. And that's why I love sitting down with clients and seeing, well, okay, well, what have you done? Where do you want to go? Where, you know, what's your skill set right now? Because everyone's different. Because look, no, not many people can write about Harry Potter. Not many people can, do certain things, because we're all good at something, and so often a few different things. But it's about figuring that out in the context of being an entrepreneur, which has so many ups and downs. And I've seen a couple of entrepreneurs more recently, particularly on Facebook, kind of revealing finally that how stressed they've been, even though they've reached quite a level of success. Talking in real terms, not this shiny, well, I'm sitting having breakfast, I have this freedom lifestyle, which actually, if you talk to them, because I actually work with a lot of marketers, I actually work with a lot of people that, they're doing really well or seen to do really well. It's not that they're not doing well, but like, even for example, I was talking to a client, we were laughing, and I was running late for a meeting. And on the surface of it, it was like a Facebook Live and everything was beautiful and the background and everything. But behind the scenes, I literally skidded to a halt pretty much outside where I needed to, because with kids, I got delayed. But then you have to go in and you have to reset yourself and walk into where it is. And okay, you sit down, you do what it is. But if people saw the reality is you're wiping somebody's bottom 3 hours before, or, it's not this kind of, beautiful,
real life. It's real life. It's in all its glory, in all its messiness, and and I think that the more we share that and let people know that actually, do you know what, it's not all hunky dory. That
totally.
And then people are more likely to relate to you, and then they feel like, okay, well, I just know I need to keep going. I just need to, kind of feel that sense of, that I'm not the only one that this happens to.
Correct.
So I want to ask you, Emma, like, what do you think that, from looking at your experience, your history, kind of your journey, what's been the one thing that's made the biggest difference to you in terms of getting you to that next stage, maybe, like where you think, okay, now I feel like as if I'm building really solid momentum? What one thing made the biggest difference for you?
I think it's just perseverance sometimes. It's just literally pushing through. Because sometimes it's not that, rosy in the garden for whatever reason. So it's pushing through. It's kind of like having that grit and determination, that inner sort of drive to keep going forward, whether it's good or whether it's like not so good, because you will get a mix of both. So I strongly feel, I've worked with lots of different entrepreneurs, and it seems to me the defining factor is that they don't give up, that they keep going, which of course sometimes it defies logic. In terms of, somebody saying, I want to make, I don't know, €1 million or dollars or whatever. And like, the question is how? And sometimes if you were to try and map it out, like, seriously, how? And sometimes people do it, and other times it takes, so some people quite quickly, sometimes longer, whatever the case is. But to me, the defining aspect of an entrepreneur is actually kind of keeping that grit and determination, regardless of whether things are going well or, and I suppose that's where, if you have like a vision, like of where you want to go,
lost you there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so it's about holding tight to that vision. Literally holding tight to that vision, and regardless of what other people say, to stick to that. Because it's like everything. Like, my mother still says to me, when are you going to get a job?
Thanks, Mom.
yeah, like, and it's funny, like, but it's easy to get derailed. It's very easy to get derailed, and I suppose sometimes I feel like not everybody is cut out for entrepreneurship because of that journey of up and down, that uncertainty, the risks you take. And sometimes you take risks and they don't work out, maybe, or they kind of work out, and you've got to learn from that, and how do you move forward? So yeah, I think to answer your question, like, grit seems to be that inner grit or perseverance to move forward, seems to be the defining factor to keep moving forward. Because otherwise it would be easy to give up, so. Yeah.
It would be. And I think one of the questions I always kind of, if when I'm having a tough time, is like, I always ask myself, well, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
And if the alternative is less palatable than what you're faced with right now and what you're working towards, i.e. the vision, then it's like, okay, keep going. This is worth it. And I suppose it's having that conversation, but I think knowing that you're going to have those tough times and knowing that there's going to be that uncertainty, it's almost like kind of pre-warning yourself as well, but just knowing that it's not going to be all bed of roses. And I suppose that's harder to, as you and I have been in business for a little bit longer than say, for someone who's just starting out, that can be quite a demotivating message, but it's also grounded in reality to say, don't expect it to be just like what everyone else is putting up on Facebook or Instagram.
Yes.
That's not how it works. That's not real life.
What I would say is if people are going through a tough time for whatever reason, is reach out to somebody that is that few steps ahead. Because I know I personally wouldn't mind if somebody reached out and said, I feel a bit stuck. I don't know exactly where I'm going. And just even a half an hour and a half chat, actually you'd be surprised. You probably even know the answers, but sometimes you actually need to even hear yourself say them out loud.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's good to do that, I think. And I think as entrepreneurs, and I actually find that, I don't know if you find this, Yasmin, but entrepreneurs are actually very giving in general, in that they're quite happy to help each other because they've been through it too. And so if somebody is running into difficulty, the one thing I'd say is, go and chat to somebody that is in business, again, nothing against your family or your friends, but just they're often not in the best place to kind of advise you. So it's better if you go and speak to somebody, whether it's a Leo advisor or somebody else in business, preferably both. So, because sometimes it's good to get two different perspectives as well. So
just in case anyone's not sure what Leo is, that's local enterprise office here in Ireland. That's what they're called. So just in case someone's going, I don't know who's Leo. Who's Leo? Who do I go to?
I didn't know at first either. I was like, what is that? They changed the name.
I know, they keep changing their names.
Yeah.
All right. Brilliant, Emma. That's been so useful and so interesting to kind of hear your perspective as well. And I think that kind of the more we talk about the reality of what it is to, be a business owner, be an entrepreneur, I think the better it is, because we know we're kind of, it's like anything, I suppose, especially with mental health. The more you talk about something, the more acceptable it is, and then people feel like, okay, well, I'm not the only one, and I can talk about this, and that's okay, and that is okay. So tell us, Emma, if our listeners are looking to find out more information about you, how can they connect with you?
Okay, great. And thank you for this as well, Yasmin. Well, you can contact or connect with me, Emma D Marketing, on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Emma D Marketing, www.emmadmarketing.ie. And trying to think, my LinkedIn profile then as well. So I use LinkedIn quite a lot. So if you want to reach out, so happy to chat to anybody on any of those. If they've any questions or are stuck, please reach out.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, Emma. It's been a real pleasure.
Not at all. Thank you so much, Yasmin.
Okay. And everybody else, thank you for listening and watching today. I hope you got great value out of that episode, and I look forward to seeing you the next time. Take care.